Have you ever wondered how one of the world's largest airlines ensures that every passenger interaction is seamless? And by that I mean both on the ground and in the air. Well, today I'm going to be joined by Dan Field, Director of Platform and Network Engineering at United Airlines. And Dan has a rich history with integrating cutting-edge technology to enhance customer experiences and operational efficiency at United. And with his expertise, United has harnessed tools such as Cisco's AppDynamics and developed innovative solutions such as Agent on Demand to revolutionise the way that we travel. And the Agent on Demand service eliminates the need to physically wait in line, offering a more convenient option to address travel-related queries like seat assignments, boarding times, and so much more. And the platform is accessible by simply scanning a QR code. But as listeners of this podcast know, I'm driven by learning about the technology that drives businesses forward, and especially areas that you don't associate with technology. So I am particularly excited about getting Dan on the podcast today to talk about how United Airlines is leveraging technology to make a real difference to their organisation and indeed their customers. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to the show floor here at Cisco Live in Las Vegas, where you can join me and Dan in conversation today. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell everyone listening a little about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, my name is Dan Field. I'm with United Airlines. I've been with them a little over 6 years. My responsibility is platform and network engineering, which encompasses a lot of different things within an airline, from plane communications to airport communications to data center and service center communications.
And right here at Cisco Live, I know you've covered a lot of ground running around the show floor, etc. I've got to say, what excites you about Cisco Live? Is it your first event, and what have you enjoyed so far?
Yeah, this is my first time. So I've been using Cisco for over 30 years, and this is my first time I've come to Cisco Live. What's really excites me about it is how they're going into the full observability side of the world and the Splunk acquisition. It's gonna really change a lot of things. That way we can start bringing in AI, generative AI, start using it, and versus being reactive, I think we can get more into a proactive, resolving problems and improving our customer experience.
Well, one of the things I try and do on this Daily Tech podcast is getting people and business leaders thinking differently about areas that technology impacts it, and often areas that you don't associate with technology. And although all your aircraft are going to be full of technology, many passengers won't automatically think about some of the challenges that go with that. And I'd love to start with some stats here that I was reading before you came on the podcast. United Airlines is now the largest airline in the world with over 293 billion available seat miles. And so how has this immense scale influenced your technology strategy, particularly in terms of managing and optimizing such a vast and complex network?
Yeah, so just to give you another little stat, we've got 500 airplanes on order, so wow. We're adding more to the fleet. So those air miles or seat miles are going to get bigger. Yeah. And we're having to account from an IT standpoint. These are absolutely a flying data center. So it's offloading performance data, it's offloading movies, things like that on a plane. So getting the tech in there right so that we can actually get all that offloaded and unloaded before the plane takes off. So,
wow, incredible. So just to set the scene for our conversation today, can you share your United Airlines tech journey with Cisco, I think in particular AppDynamics, and any challenges or problems you were able to solve with technology as well?
Yeah, so when you think about AppDynamics, and we also use Thousand Eyes, so kind of a suite of the tools, we just deployed what we call Agent on Demand. So we call it AOD in short. And what this is the problem that we were trying to solve was, if you think about our entire fleet across the world, and there's areas within the world where a weather event hits, or we have a mechanical problem. Well, if you think about a CSR, a customer service agent sitting there, there's 100+ people coming off saying, where do I go next? What do I get to do? And what they do, so there's a big long line. So our customers get really frustrated. They have to sit there and wait in line for each person to either get rebooked or go to a hotel or where is their luggage. So, so how do we solve for that? So that's where Agent on Demand came about, is to say we can use, there might be blue skies in San Francisco and we're canceling all kinds of flights in EWR. Well, why can't I use all the Denver, San Francisco, LAX, Chicago, all those different reps to help solve for all those flights that we cancel for our customers? And that kind of resonated because we're measured on NPS. So that's Net Promoter Score.
Yeah.
And that is giving our customers, how do they grade us on the service that we're trying to provide? And that's what really drove it. We had that feedback from them about the long lines. They'd go into a queue waiting on a reservation rep to get on the phone. They were sitting in queue for an hour, 2 hours, sitting at the airport. They knew they couldn't get on another flight. They should have already been in another hotel. So how do we solve for that day of travel really quick, keep the queues down low within res, and then let all the airport operations solve those customer problems? So what that brought about for the full observability is this is where AppD and Thousand Eyes comes into play. So if you look at that very complicated infrastructure, I've got AWS, I've got WebEx technology, and then I have my on-prem voice environment that I've got to manage and monitor all that. And that's where AppDynamics really comes into play, because it really is looking at that on-prem stuff. But and then Thousand Eyes, I can look into AWS. We're using Upstream Works. They created the soft phone for us and everything, so I can see if they're having issues. And then with Thousand Eyes, because it does such crowdsourcing, I can see the end user's cell phone, and in that area, we can see that they're having issues with their cell phone, so the agent can say, why don't we move to chat? I'll still solve your problem through chat, but it looks like you're having bad cell phone service within the airport.
Wow. So, that's incredibly cool. Yeah. And just to further bring to life what you're talking about there, are there any other examples of the importance of the digital experience for United and how observability is increasingly playing a role in that too?
Yeah. So if you really look at our business, it's really the technology as a whole is enabling the business to drive that excellent service to the customer. And that's where our CEO comes into play. He's basically pushing us, versus being regular airline. Let's fit the passenger into an airline process. Let's take that process and fit it into the customer, and let's get more customer focused. So what that does is that really drives technology. How can we put technology in our business hands so that they can provide that excellent service? And that end-to-end visibility is key, because MTTR has to be resolved. Our chief people officer, she says 30 minutes, the business is impacted and the customer is frustrated. So get it solved. So that's what we got.
And for anyone listening that's unfamiliar with this, can you tell me a little bit more about Agent on Demand and why that is an important part of your entire customer experience as well? Yeah,
that's just kind of feedback from the customer, is giving the day of travel. It's really focused on day of travel. So if you're 2 days out, you're going to go to reservation and we'll solve the problem through reservation. But the day of travel, that's what Agent on Demand really brings, because now that puts a airport agent directly to the customer, and they no longer have to stand in a service line or stand at the podium waiting on to get solved by the customer or the CSR. They now can just walk up to it, hit QR code, and now they'll get a airport agent across our entire fleet.
Are there any specific instances or examples or even use case that you're able to share where observability has come into play with Agent on Demand as well?
Yeah, so as any system, right, we've had impact.
Yeah.
And we knew that within AWS was having some issues. So we knew that the voice or the video, we were going to have customers couldn't get in on video. So we transitioned the agents on the calls that were having trouble with video, transitioned them to chat, and then they started communicating across the fleet. When you come in, come into a chat queue. Let's just shut off the video queue until we got the problem resolved. And we found that with Thousand Eyes and AppD coming into play. So that was a big one.
Wow. And for anybody listening anywhere in the world, is there any advice that you'd have for them, especially if they're considering implementing or building an observability practice within their own organization? You've probably learned a few things along the way.
Yeah.
Any advice that you would?
Yeah, I would say, and generally people take the high road in the sense, but I would say when you talk about observability, it's a journey. Yeah. So you're not going to solve it overnight. It's going to take a while. So my suggestion is, and Agent on Demand is a perfect example. I mean, it's a very important tool for the business so that they can use it and solve our customer problems. You take the most difficult thing and just focus on that and get all your tuning and all your configurations and everything correct as you're doing it. And it's a life cycle. It'll continue to life cycle. So that environment will continue to turn, so you'll continue to tune the alerts and thresholds and all that, but it points you directly to the fire. So that's what I would focus on, is focus on the most difficult, or I would say the application that provides the best value to the business, and go after that.
Fantastic advice. And with United's ambitious growth plans and significant technological enhancements, not to mention the investments you were telling me about at the beginning of our conversation, and we've also got the integration of in-seat screens and advanced connectivity on flights. How do you, if we zoom out, how do you see these innovations shaping the future customer experience and maintaining a competitive edge in the industry?
Yeah, so in the airline business, one does, others follow. So we always want to try to be the first to the market. So I believe technology and the stability of technology is really going to drive that competitive edge. Now, the big one right now is bags, right? So tracking bags, being able to put the customer at ease when they do travel, knowing that their bags are right with them and they know when they land, right? So this technology, like you said, eventually will be loading on all the seat backs, different types of movies, things like that. So all that technology has to be in play, while ground crew has communications to the ground via their, we call them map devices, their devices as they walk through and swipe credit card, or they don't swipe credit cards anymore, but they collect the data and stuff like that through the map device. So.
Wow. Well, I'd love to stay in touch with you and see how this journey continues to evolve. But for anyone listening wanting to find out more information about the work that you're doing at United, I'm not sure if there's anywhere on the website, like a news page or anything like that, but is there any way you'd like to point everyone listening that just want to find out more information?
Yeah, the best place to go is united.com. That's where we have all of our updates, new releases, all the stuff that we're coming out with, and we're in probably every media type avenue, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. So absolutely, just to follow. I would highly, highly suggest you follow United Airlines, and you'll see all the new stuff that we're doing and the innovation that we're doing.
Well, I'll leave a link for everything so people can find that nice and easily, find out more information. At the very beginning of our conversation, now you did say this was your first Cisco live. When you get that United flight home, maybe, what are you going to be reflecting on? What have you enjoyed about everything that you've seen? Anything you're going to be thinking about?
Yeah, I'm like I said before, I'm so excited about the Splunk acquisition and what we can do and how we can start looking at moving into the, I would say, proactive area, because today we feed all of our logs and feed everything to Splunk today. So having that AI, generative AI, alert us right now, I think it'll alert us, and then eventually down the road, it'll start taking action. So to resolve problems.
Well, I know how busy you've been here at your first Cisco Live. It's been an incredibly busy one, but just thank you for taking the time to sit down with me, share your story today.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, and thank you.
So as we wrap up today's episode, I want to thank Dan for sharing his invaluable insights into the technological advancements at United Airlines. And I think Dan's work exemplifies how thoughtful integration of technology can create seamless experiences for millions of passengers around the world. And his leadership in platform and network engineering has not only enhanced operational efficiencies, but redefined what we can expect from customer interactions in the aviation industry. And to everyone listening who's also a passenger, I'm sure, how do you see the technological innovations impacting the future of your travel experiences? What are your expectations from the travel industry? And if those experiences are only met by one airline, would you remain loyal to that airline? So many big talking points from our conversation today, but I'd love to hear more about that. Any technologies that you would like to see implemented in your next flight, share them with me. Email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, X, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm at Neil C. Hughes. Love to hear your thoughts. But as always, thanks for tuning in today. Stay connected for more intriguing discussions like this here on Tech Talks Daily. I'll be back bright and early in the morning with another guest waiting in your podcast feed. But thanks as always for listening. And until next time, don't be a stranger.